Joining us from different part of the world. Um, Welcome to the very first session of Let's Talk Energy with Saikat. So my camera is on the top and my system is in the below. So pardon me if you see me like looking sometimes in the below, but yeah, I'm talking straight to you. We are interacting to each other. So the main gist is because energy is not just about power plants and policies, it's all about people, community, and the future we build together. This is not traditional podcast. This is not webinar, and this is not, of course, a live, active, open conversation space only. But it's a knowledge base. It's a fun, interactive, and to know about energy. So the main part of this session is always because this idea is simple and powerful. The Zoom regional policies or global energy pictures, the regional counterbalance of economic and also social aspect. We all know about it, but how to interact with those kind of narratives, how to just crisp it and symbolize that jargons, right? So what we'll do here is these sessions. This session will run every week, and if we get a lot of tractions, this is for you, not for me, not for a single person, everyone. So if you get a lot of traction, we'll do twice a week as well. But right now, nearly 90% of global emissions is for energy. More than 700 million people are deprived of clean cooking and lack of electricity access as well. And the best thing is, last year we crossed nearly 1.18 trillion global investments in clean energy, right? So we really want to know about your perspective, your regional aspect, what you have for us. We want to know about your subnational and regional commitments as well. It's not too much technical, just the energy mix, what you think about the energy, what are those problems that you're facing. So if you are with me, I would really love you to come to my session right now. So if you are in LinkedIn, if you are in Instagram, you'll find a link in the caption. Just click the link and you'll be added to this session. I welcome you all wholeheartedly and hope to see you here. And first, make energy stakeholders the chance to share their perspective because energy means different things, different communities, reliabilities, and affordability, job, health, and dignity as well. So let's make energy more fun rather than more very technical, right? Um, I will not do any gatekeeping. Also, like not a complicated language. I'll use making sure that energy policies it will be as simple as ABC. What I call ABC, anybody can understand. So me, I'm Saikat, your host, and those mean in Hindi. I'm from India. I live in UK, but in Hindi, dost means a friend. So I call me myself a host in those for you. And this journey builds upon a true open and global energy community. So let's build this community. What does energy means to you in one word, right? So let's start. And also, like while we wait for our first guests to join, let's take a few minutes to look for the bigger picture where the world stands for the energy today. And because understanding this helps us to understand our regional aspect, to understand our accessibility, affordability, and reliability, right? So no one yet, yes, no one yet is left behind, and no one will be left behind. So this is our motto. So just join people, click to the link. It's an open access, it's for you. We are live in three different platforms. We are live in YouTube, we are live in LinkedIn, we are live in Instagram. And also, this is a Riverside studio that we use. And this studio is open for you all for next 10, 15 minutes as well. So join me to have a conversation, right? Of course, I can understand it's a new theme. You will be like, okay, what shall we talk? What will not talk? But don't worry about it. It's just a discussion. It's just a sharing of your stories, stories that you felt, the stories that connected your communities, your passion, and how you really want to change, right? And let's have a discussion. It doesn't has to be like you are from an uh, energy background or an energy practitioner or enthusiast or a expert as well. No, if you really want to know about energy or if you want to discuss with me as well, I have some. nice backgrounds, and also like there are people who have amazing backgrounds in energies as well. I invite all of you just to share and discuss, right? Let's bring it more fun. That in the chat box, anywhere in the any platform that you are watching me, in the chat box you can also write where you're joining from, what is the biggest energy issue that your region is facing. Maybe it's accessibility, maybe it's affordability, or maybe it's reliability, right? So if I get some kind of answer, we can move ahead with those discussions, move ahead with specific ideas that you have, or else we will also discuss about the forward-looking global energy transitions. So here you go. Let's see some of the platforms with you as well. Like if anyone is joining, if anyone is willing to share their perspective. But yes, let's start with some kind of journey. Why I started this session, why I started this live interactive episodes. It's not a webinar that I said. Of course, we you are not here to just listen to me. You're not here to just listen to any singular person. This is a session where we will invite people. We will invite global communities to be with us, share their perspective, share their emotions. Um, as I said, it is open to all. See, the thing is, energy security and energy transition. It's very critically similar, but also there is a fine line where I say the the world gets its 80% of the energy from fossil fuel right now, and also we are struggling to make a narrative like how we will make the policies globally to phase out the fossil fuel, right? Because when we say about security, security also includes every global security, every economy where there's developing, there's developed, there's least developing countries. And when we think about several spectrum of development, we also have to think about people, right? Because we are doing it for them. And when we think about the people, the day-to-day life, the life they lead, the work they do, many individuals work daily to get just some wages, right, into many mines, into many activities which is directly related to fossil fuel. But if we just transit them from a fossil fuel to a non-fossil fuel economy, there will be effects, and the effects will go directly to those people because the higher bodies and the classified people, the C-suite level people, will change their jobs or will find something else, but the effect will go directly to the lower community or the stakeholders who directly get affected, right? So this is where it belongs to, and this is where this narratives comes in. This episode comes in to know about your perspective, to know about your religion, the communities that you belong to, or any communities that you knew or you know are affecting, and how can we solve together the problem. Correct. Also, big shout out to our sponsors, Early Birds Club Private Limited and One Climate Club. One Climate Club is an initiative of Early Birds Club Private Limited, and also in the initiative of our Yongo Energy Working Group. So I was the contact person for Global North for Yongo Energy Working Group. Yongo is one of the youth constituency of United Nations Framework for Climate Change, Convention for Climate Change, UNFCCC, where all the NGOs come together and form allies, and they bring up a constituency. And this constituency where I belong to is for the youth, right? And all the youth constituency come together and go to the United Nations conventional activities like COP, SB, subsidiary bodies, and then we lobby, we actively participate in proposing different policies, which has been collected globally from people like you, from youth like you, and involvement of really amazing people who wants to make some changes, right? So kudos to all of them. Really kudos to all of them. So yes, the energy policies and inflations are different. The prices and market prices are different. You'll also get to know about critical minerals and supply chain and global equity in energy investments. So there is a lot of jargons, right? And we will try to make it, not try, I'm definitely sure I will. I'm promising you, will make it very simple, very effective, and long lasting so that you can also remember what exactly this session is going to be and what is the outcome. The main three principles, fundamental principles, is nothing but making it interactive, making it inclusive, and also getting some kind of outcome as a capacity building or training, right? So that we can increase the voice. Again, I've been talking a lot, so I'm requesting everyone, as this is a new model that I started and a new, initiative. I want all of your support as well. Click the link in the captions in the LinkedIn or Instagram, YouTube, and join me here to have some discussions. I'm looking forward to have some discussions with you. So yes, let's make these sessions very fun and some kind of not boring rather than just one person speaking. You know what is the reality as well? The reality of energy policies and global geopolitics is revolving around few aspects, like some derivatives and indicators. And those indicators are always moving ahead towards some kind of path where the path is narrated by us and you can say paved by us. So when we say us, is all the stakeholders, it's all the multicultural, multi-age level, um, the NGOs, the civil societies together. So it's not just one person, it's a collective effort. And it's not just one collective effort, but it's also one person's voice matters. So that's always a paradox. But I really want to know, just looking to the global energy transition, geopolitical aspects, what it looks like how it would be affecting the entire outcome of our net zero aspect, which is coming from 2050, or many countries have different net zero targets as well. Just to give a just that. Some kind of words will be used in this episodes, all the episodes, and every words and every narratives will be explained to you. So when I say about net zero 2050, and when I say about different countries will have different net zero targets, right? So these targets have been set by UNFCCC, COP processes, or any other process, other engagements as well, non COP events, like the COP events. Over there, we have the Paris Agreement, right? So Paris Agreement is one of the agreement which is non-binding agreement, built up by 198 countries together. So it has been signed by 198 countries, and those signatory countries performed a narrative in a bias of reputational and promised and performative steps that they will submit a determined contribution. So contribution from their specific nations, national determined contribution. That's a paper. That's a draft. That's a strategic position or policy. You can say a target of like what they will do to move ahead for net zero, right? Every 5 years they have to update it. Every 5 years they have to solve how to get near and near to low emission economy, and how to help each other as well. So the developing countries always ask help from the developed countries, which they really have to get it right, because if we want a like sudden transition, we need money, we need finances, and when we need finances, there should be some kind of mechanism to get the finances. So this is all about the mechanism, right? And to get the finance, they have to tell them like what exactly they will do and what exactly they are lacking for. So the telling on showing the pathways is one of the frame that I'm talking about, the NDC, submission of national determined contribution to the UNFCCC process, right? So in that process, they will always they will always say that okay, we are moving ahead to our goal, which is like net zero. Certain years, many countries have net zero before 2050. Many countries have net zero after 20 countries. For example, India, they have net zero commitment for 2070. For China, net zero commitment is 2060. For many other nations, it's 2050. Many few nations who are like national but also subnationals, they have like inside the countries there are like several other nations, right? So they have their independent bodies, independent legislations. They also have some commitments, which is like really national and subnational commitments. So might be that be before 2050 as well. It gets always structured and updated over the period of time, depending on how the market looks like, how the international energy systems looks like. The global geopolitics right now is crazy. You can say, like, I don't have to say those words, but of course, like, um, the global geopolitics is directly affecting the entire supply chain, value chain, and the tariff rates, costs, market rates, everything. So I think we know what to do, but we don't know how to make the solution without involving everyone together if someone doesn't want to speak. So few countries like US came out of the Paris Agreement uh, last year. So they are not a part of Paris Agreement right now. So right before it was 198 countries. So right now it's 197 countries. Many data are included with the US data as well, the data of low emissions, the data of how we are moving ahead to net zero emission targets. But those data doesn't include right now. The new data will not include the US, so that means there will be a chance of shifting or skewness in the data as well. So all the graphs that we saw and all the graph that will be that has been forecasted before, I think that will be changed, just because if it's specific to Paris Agreement, then of course we cannot include US right now. But also few countries are doing amazing, like fantastic. Many countries have moved towards crazily towards renewable energies. It's getting cheaper. 90% of renewable energy cost has been went down over the period of time. And there is also like entire story how it changed, how it became. So why I am sharing all of the steps to you, just because and to make sure that the keywords that I'm using, the narratives that I'm using, will be structured and will be solved in every episode. And in every episode, you'll learn something, and I'll learn something as well from you guys. Whoever will be joining me, whoever I'm requesting anyone to join, I will be learning from them as well. So it will be amazing, but also very interactively fun. And I'll make sure that before until COP31 this year, which will be in Turkey, Natalia, nearly in November. So before that, until COP, you will be a master of at least the jargons, at least the policies, at least you know what exactly the national or international leaders are talking about, the geopolitics are talking about. So let's make it happen. And for just giving some gist why it is important, the demand for lithium would grow over 10 times by 2040 under clean energy scenarios. So if lithium is increasing, that means other critical minerals like cobalt, copper will also increase day by day, right? So when the demand will increase, definitely supply will be disrupted and the price will increase as well. But we have to find some solution where the disruption will not happen. And everyone is also looking ahead for getting a lot of renewable energy, but we have to look for circular economy. Imagine a wind farms, imagine a solar panels, solar farms. They have certain age limit, right? So they have certain lifespan. That's lifespan. When it is over, we have to reset. We have to find a solution where we can manage the scrap, we can manage the waste, and then we can reuse it, just to minimize any kind of false proven factor. If we are doing the same thing which has been done like several years back as well, like we are moving ahead but we don't have a plan for the future perspective of managing all barriers. So we need a strategic positioning where just not solving the problem but also trying to tackle the barriers and get something structured mechanism to manage all the scraps, right? So this is what. Also, for energy directly linked with different matters, I'm asking to every people who are following mitigation, who are following adaptation, who are following finance, is very crucial. Finance. Also, last year we had the Global Mutirao draft, which was the COP30's outcome. We will also go through this outcome as well in a very simple manner, no technicalities. Promise, no technicalities. not too much of technicalities, but you will understand each and every aspect of it, right? So if you can give me like 30 minutes of your time every Saturday from 4 p.m. UTC to 4:30, and if we are getting too much of traction, of course we'll have it bi-weekly, or we can increase it by half an hour as well, or 45 minutes. But depends about how we are moving ahead with this kind of discussions, right? And energy price and inflations is crazy right now, because inflation is going day by day higher as a part of crisis pushed electricity. Gas price is a part of Europe's up, and it went up 200 to 300% at peak level as well, which shows how energy stocks and the economies can be affected, right? And it can directly affect to the entire well-being and livelihood of the people as well. So affordability, security, and decarbonization is often an energy trilemma, right? When we talk about energy trilemma, I say it's energy quadrilemma, just because people comes in as well. It's not just about accessibility. For whom? It's for the people. It's for and by the people. So people-centric policy is very important for me, especially. And we will day by day, we will peel out the onion, the cover of the onion, and we will see what's there for us. Inequality and energy investments are very much crucial in terms of happiness index as well, right? Because inequality can bring more unhappiness into the social terminologies and jargons. So in advanced economy, like China is also like growing more and more, while in Africa, I think less than 3% of global clean energy investment has been done. But imagine we talked about critical minerals. But when we talked about critical minerals, there are only less than or like nearly 3% investment done in Africa, where most of the minerals, like I think more than 70% of the minerals, are being extracted from Africa. So there should be a specific limit of extraction, and there should be a reservation for the specific countries where the extraction has been done. And they should get the best of the world as well. They should get the technology transfer, they should get the money, they should get the finances, they should get the resources where they can be uplifted and developed as well. Similarly, the country which is doing the extraction. I know the development is really important for every aspect. It's both the world, right? It's both the world. So the best of the people will have to, the best of the people is the best of getting the development plus getting the happiness, but also getting accessibility uh, and deviating from, like, getting away from inequalities. And also for the next 5 to 10 years, it is very crucial to get how the future of energy geopolitics work, how the finance to transition works, how to renewable growth infrastructure works, the grid infrastructure, the tension for supply chain. A lot of things are there. Really, like if I start, it will be like I won't stop. I know that. That is the reason I say, like, join the session. I think today we are not getting any kind of interaction from anyone. Might be because you want to see the session, how the session looks like, and I totally get it. I think from next session, I'm very optimistic that we will get someone with me, where we will slowly figure out about their regional energy mix, the regional aspect, formulations, and to speak about how we can find a solution together, right? So this is what it is. Well, also, if you are struggling to get in, just ping me that okay, there's a situation, and I can get some kind of solution for you. Let me check in LinkedIn as well if there is any. Perfect. Uh, There is comments, but in the comments I can see no one. Yes. Interactive. So how could we interact? Perfect. So I got an comment, and I'm just answering these interactions with the link, right? With the link where you can join me. So I think we have someone might joined. So sorry about that. It's a new kind of format. So people are really struggling to get the link. Right now, I pasted the link in one of the comment in my LinkedIn live session as well. So you can just click it and come to the session. It's a Riverside studio. You'll be get in. You'll be accessed, and then we can speak together. It is really amazing how this studio works. If anyone is struggling to get the link in any other platform, just text or do the comments as well. Uh, Iman did the comment and I shared the link. Perfect. Can you hear me, Iman?
Yeah, I could hear you. Am I coming through?
Amazing.
Yeah, okay.
Thanks a lot for joining. Uh, we cannot see you, but is it like similar or you are trying to open your
No, no, no. I can definitely see you. Wait, I can definitely
I think you have to
turn
do the
on the.
permission for with the browser or something like on the top left. You have to click that you give the permission for your uh, laptop to
Oh
share
yeah,
this
yeah, yeah, yeah,
screen
yeah,
with
yeah.
us. Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Can you
Perfect.
can you see me
Amazing.
now? Perfect. Thank you so much. It's great to see you. It has been a while.
It's been a while.
Well, thank you for having this initiative and just like making the space and the time to share your ample of knowledge. That's quite amazing. I have a question because
Hmm.
you touched based on very important topics like energy transition and then critical mineral issues and then the
True.
affordability of renewable energy, right? As someone who really works on the energy transition and who is also African, I want to talk to you about the link between the affordability and the lack of regulation on critical minerals. So, my question is, to what extent we can say that a huge part of the fact that we do have very much affordable renewable energy right now is because we don't have anything that regulates the extraction of critical minerals. And to what extent we can say that the the fact that we are getting a lot of these minerals almost for free from the RC and other places is a huge part why we do have this kind of affordability. And a lot of people would push back against having regulation on critical minerals because they are saying that probably that will increase the prices of renewables. So I just want to understand the dynamics of the price and the lack of regulation around critical mineral and how confident we could like push for an article on critical minerals without really jeopardizing this kind of affordability. Sorry if that was long, but I hope
No,
you
no,
like.
come on. This session is for you guys, and really, like, I really appreciate that you joined. Um, before answering, like, before having a discussion, it's not answering. I'm not a like expert or something, but of course we have some kind of knowledge. We've been in the same space for many years. So before the discussion, can you tell all the viewers about yourself, like some words from where you're joining? Because I really want to know, like know you better through their lens as well. Because I know you, I've been like in touch with you a long time, but I really want the people who are watching you as well, they to know you because you are like I can say that Iman is really good in terms of many technical aspects in terms of critical minerals, energies, but also in supply chain as well. She's been working in many policies, but I really want to know about your perspective about what exactly you are like you are advocating for and what you are and how you are trying to change the narratives.
Sure. Am I coming through? Okay.
Yes,
This
yes,
is the first time I'm
definitely.
using this
It's
tool.
it's
Okay.
it's a it's a studio. It's really a great studio, like
Okay.
professional studio. So you are inside a studio right now. So don't worry.
Oh, I love that. Okay, cool. So, hi everybody. My name is Amani. I am originally from Morocco, but I am based in the United States in California. Um, in my previous life, and I'm saying previous life because I'm a better person now, but in my previous life, I was trained as a statistical engineer. So I worked in financial market for a while. I worked in investment banking as a structurer. It was mainly innovating and engineering this kind of index that you hear, and financial products overall. Unfortunately, I did a lot of investment on fossil fuel company, and that's why I'm saying I'm a better person now. But after I had like this realization that I am disconnected from my reality, because Morocco is one of the countries who are very vulnerable to climate change, and my own family was very exposed to climate change impact. So when this connection hit me, I was like, I cannot continue doing what I'm doing. So I actually did a just transition for my own career, and I made it greener. So yeah, I pivoted to climate change, climate action, climate policy. And I'm currently in the US. I'm about to finish my second master degree on environmental policy, and I'm very passionate about just transition. I am working with the Just Transition Working Group, Younger Working Group, and we've did a lot of work last year on the BAM, and I'm hoping that we could do more this year on critical minerals. Again, I'm from Morocco. I'm African. I'm very aware of the extraction happening, and also in my own country there is extraction happening. Um, so we would love to see some kind of global framework really uh, monitoring how this extraction is happening. I think it's for it's for the best for the sustainability of this transition. We cannot make this transition looks like green colonialism or neo-colonialism, because it's just going to continue a pattern that we didn't really benefit from. So if we want to transition in a just and orderly manner, let's do it in the proper way. And that would be by engaging indigenous communities, local communities, global south countries overall, and just like having a very just way. So very like very much with all these wording, I'm just trying to say that I'm trying to transition. Transitioned myself, and I'm just trying to make sure that this transition is happening the right way.
Amazing. Amazing. Thanks a lot for being here, first of all. And your discussion point is really amazing, just because there's several aspects, and you can say layers, right, in the discussion points. So when we talk about critical minerals, the critical minerals are exactly found in few parts of the world, like really specific parts of the world, and those parts of the world been already been invaded. You can say invaded as well, just because there are a lot of monopoly in those markets with few countries or few organizations, or you can say like some supply chain bodies. So when we say about the market, we have to see that how the market inflation acts, right? So the thing is, there should be a policy. I always say that there should be a policy. If I'm a country B, and I'm extracting something from country A, right? So there should be a policy that in country A we should have a liability to perform some kind of transition in and the aspect that the skill or the technology aspects can be delivered, right? Can be sent in a mandated form, and a specific percentage of investment that has been done in um, extracting those minerals should be invested into this the similar country with a reservation of specific amount of minerals, right? So for example, if I got 80% of the mineral, so at least 30% of the same mineral should be invested in the same country for the development, and the skill plus the financial transfer should be done by country A plus the countries which getting direct involvement through those kind of those minerals. So any minerals will not have singular product. There is several products. So for example, the solar panels, they need 43 stages, and 43 stages has different kind of minerals needed, like ingots, right? Coppers, cobalts, lithium for the batteries as well. So those have byproducts, and those byproducts also have some kind of product, right? And those products are been spreaded into the global trade systems, correct? And those trade systems are been like there is also another thing that I told. You know about carbon leakage, I think. So in carbon leakage, we try to bypass the policies. of any country which have like high policy for taxations, high policy for like carbon tax or like production tax or this kind of thing. So there is also a policy that there should be there, should minimize the this trade implications, the trade drawbacks, right? And everything should link to a mandate that okay, there are three mandates. Any country which is extracting from other countries should give the technology, the finance in a some kind of percentage, and any extraction has been done. This the percentage of extraction should be involved in that particular country for development, right? And the other thing last is the trade. So there should be trade regulations where the product which has been sold to different countries, some percentage of trade measures or tax should be involved in developing those countries directly to the people, so that they are like their livelihood can be managed, right? So this is the fine line I can see, according to me, which I went through several um, research as well. They're saying the same thing. Previously we had a notion of degrowth, which is called the degrowth, and also like it's decoupling, basically decoupling the emissions from the GDP, and then we will see how the GDP works, and also how much emissions they are making in terms of trade, in terms of extractions or other activities. But I think the degrowth will not work right now, having the geopolitics and having the trajectory what we are seeing, right? Like having inflations, different kind of like one currency is acting as one of the trade currency, which is dollar, which is also um, intact with the barrels, like oil barrels. Before it was with the gold. So I don't think so. I don't think so. The degrowth will work, but definitely if we have like three main aspect, which is investing, transfer, technology transfer, and also the like sharing the trade measures with that particular country might work, according to me. What do you think?
No, I think that's super fair. And also on degrowth, you made me think. I'm no marketing person, but I can spot a bad idea when I see it. And as you mentioned, even in this context or other contexts, it would be impossible to convince people just to degrowth. Like, what kind of marketing
True,
idea is this? It's
true.
impossible.
Very true, very
Yeah.
true. In fact, you are from Just Transition working for, and working for Just Transition. So when we talk about degrowth, what is the just for that? Because many countries are been developing right now, and many countries are like least developed. Right? So when there is a time to
Yeah.
develop, and we are taking away that specific development criteria from them, it's not good. So we need some kind of transfer, technology transfer, skill development. Do you have any story of yours where you see that how much important it is to have this just transition in place for technology transfer or skill transfer before the involvement of infrastructure or before the involvement of technology into the market? Any kind of instant that you saw that okay, right, this is the main problem that we are facing on the ground. So if we are including solar panels, we need to involve some other measures before including solar panels as well.
Yeah, well, it's not necessarily linked to renewables at this point,
Hmm.
but
Yeah,
it's
definitely, yeah.
related to what you mentioned on trade. You
Hmm.
know that CBAM, the Carbon Border Adjustment
Yes,
Mechanism, it was a very contentious topic that we had last year at COP. I think that's a great example of a policy or maybe a trade related policy that it's not necessarily bad, but the way it was put into the world, it was so unjust because there was no communication on how we could build capacity in these developing countries to actually do manage the carbon accounting, do some work on emission, and just try to understand how to deal with high emitting sectors. And also, so that was a huge unjust part, to just like make a policy that is very not domestic, it's very global, and then the
true.
people who are working with you are supposed to pay you. You don't really help them, especially that you are historically
True.
responsible. You don't help them. And you talked about carbon leakage. We had that argument being put again and again by the EU and its ally, but it is like from a climate perspective, it is a good idea. It's not that bad. At some point, we all have to do some sort of carbon accounting, but the way it was put, again, it wasn't just. From that side, and the other side is that's why I really liked your idea about dealing with critical minerals, because they had no intention at some point, and I think still till today, to use that money from CBAM to be invested back in these developing countries. I think a huge chunk of the problem, the contention, could be solved if the
Hmm.
EU or this developed country had a roadmap on how to use this money to bring it back to the global south, instead of just like shifting or pivoting the climate finance flow south to north, which is not supposed to happen anyway. So I think what you mentioned on critical mineral, either on trade or just how to use these finances, it's actually a great example. I mean, you asked me, but I'm using you as an example. um, that was a great example of how we could navigate these measures and with
Hmm.
just transition.
Oh, definitely. Actually, you touched the base on um, how important it is the carbon leakage. So, carbon leakage is somewhat close to my heart just because my thesis was in carbon leakage. So that's why it's very crucial to know that how important it is, because at the end of the day, when you do the accounting, when you do the accounting of how far we are there for net zero, and if we are neglecting those leakages, that means we are not coming to net zero, because there is always a gap which has not been counted or has been counted double, right? So
Yeah.
when this kind of data are skewed enough, that means we are not going into a proper trajectory, or there is no solution of it. So I think yes. And as you said, Iman, EU has been, saying a lot of things about the CBAM. They've been like trying to frame the narratives. It's very interesting that this year in COP, suddenly they changed the narratives that okay, CBAM is not a climate policy; it's a trade policy, right? So we will not
Yeah.
speak about anything about CBAM just because it's not doesn't come into the framework. So I was very fascinated, like wow, how things changed within second, right? So so yeah,
Yeah.
I think like you are there in the ground, you are there like following everything as well. So how fascinating is what it was for you?
To be honest, I have a very different perspective than yours, just because I am coming from the trade and finance background. So I
Hmm.
was looking at it from this perspective before looking at it from the carbon leakage perspective. So for me, when I saw, like, when I heard the argument, oh, we should discuss that under the WTO, I had different concerns. And one of the concerns um, is the fact that every trade policy, it is supposed to be discussed under the WTO, but also the
Hmm.
WTO lacks a lot of principles of fairness. So the CBDRC principle, this doesn't exist in the
Yes.
WTO. There's no
No.
justice or responsibility kind of principle in the WTO. And as someone coming again from this background of trade and finance, this is one of the issues we always raise about WTO, that it is actually disconnected from the geopolitical context, the historical context, the political context, and that's why it has been weakened over the time. The WTO now is like being watered down in terms of
Amazing,
position. So
amazing point, really.
yeah. So I'm actually, when I heard about it, I knew it was coming anyway, because it's a trade measure. But
Hmm.
one of the topics we always had in trade is where to discuss this trade related climate policy, like the intersection of climate and trade, where to discuss it, because the WTO is definitely not the place. Again, it's not a safe place for the global south, because there's no guiding principles that are committed or embedded in shared responsibility, etc. So I think one thing that happened in COP is China and UK launching together this integrated forum for trade and climate, which is basically a very separate place to discuss trade and climate, because climate is global and every policy is somehow turning to be a global policy, even though it
True,
starts local. And that's what
true.
happened with CBAM. The EU was defining it as a very domestic policy that no one should interfere with, but all of a sudden it's concerning all of, it's concerning all the countries. So it's very easy to pass from this domestic and local to this very global. And I think trade is one of the first pillars to be affected. So having these discussions on trade and climate is very crucial. And again, coming from a trade and finance perspective, I think that this is how you make climate change something that everyone on a personal, individual level relate to. When you tell people that, well, actually the CBAM policy is a trade policy as well, so you as the final consumer, you will have to pay some of the damage, the prices will increase. This is how, because people are so disconnected from climate change, they don't
Exactly.
see the threat coming directly to them. So when you have this conversation about trade and actually the price rising or increasing or decreasing is actually due to climate change, so people start to prioritize the climate conversation. So I think that's great. I'm still following to see what that forum has done or has become or when it's
Mm-hmm.
happening. There is very
Mm-hmm.
few communication about it. I know that they made an
Yes.
official website. They did made an official website for this forum, but
Mm-hmm.
I think more to come.
I think the website is also not been properly published right now.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but we all are looking ahead to this. Is it would be the first of the kind, right? And wow, oh my God! Like you have given so many of new information to us, right, about the trade and
Oh.
how the WTO works and what exactly the policies and value additions are to be included. The foremost, as a person from energy, as a person working in the climate space, working in the economic aspect as well, sometimes we are as well detached from the trade policies, how it can be narrativized, right? Because we are looking to a lens of which is narrow towards our sectors, but when we see the with the lens of a person who is working in the trade sector, it's very crucial to understand the both the world, right? And you gave us many points, several points, when where right now we will question that, okay, was it right in the first place to include that in the climate policy, or was it well, will it be a uh, proper plan to have a separate policy as well as a trade in the climate space, like a green trade or a climate trade or something, where we can put those kind of trade which can directly impact um, the net zero goals or the NDCs, or at least the trade work where we can move ahead the finances, the trade finances towards some kind of work for climate, maybe carbon markets, or maybe SCF or like loss and damage as well, where it can be used basically. So thanks a lot for this points. And I don't think so that most of the people actually keep trade as one of the part for climate. But I think right now we need to know about how deeper we can go inside these trade policies, and how we can find some synergy between trade policies and climate policies as well, right?
Yeah, that's where that's really well put. Yeah. I want to add something about the WTO. The fact that what you mentioned is so relevant because a lot of people understand trade and don't understand climate, and a lot of people understand climate but don't understand trade. And having the intersection happening like on a daily basis, I think request us to have some kind of literacy in both. So that's why the forum is amazing. But what I was thinking, and this is something I forgot to add previously, when the EU was saying that we should take that to the WTO, again, I think even though if we take it to the WTO, even though we have no CBDRC in the WTO,
Mm-hmm.
I think that the EU will still lose its case just because we have this
True.
principle in the WTO that says the most favored nation, which means that every country should not be dealing with a country in a way that will favor that country from other countries. So meaning you shouldn't be giving incentives to a specific country in detriment of other. You should make trade equal to everyone. Now, if you think about it, the EU doing that with developing countries is actually favoring its domestic producers and also its inter-countries. So if France is doing the CBAM, it's actually giving more privilege to UK producer, German producer, and other European countries producer rather than developing countries, which in the
Hmm.
WTO is not permitted. You are not permitted to treat a country differently than others. And if you heard about the banana scandal or the banana um, trade problem that happened like few, I think in the 90s or the 80s, I can't
Yes,
tell,
yes,
but it
we
was
heard
a
about it,
similar
but
issue.
yes,
Yeah.
but if you can give some kind of explanation to our viewers, it would be really amazing.
Sure. So the banana issue was like the Europe or the EU back then, they made like a trade policy where they are giving incentives to former colonies on plantain or bananas, so
Yeah,
like the EU was like, okay, we colonized you at some point, we feel like obliged to give you some advantage, so we are going to incentivize or just like encourage purchasing plantain or bananas from you. What happened is Latin American countries, who were the primary sellers of plantain to the EU, saw the damage come in because they were like, oh, well, you are encouraging these colonies, even though you are historically responsible for a lot of
yeah,
inequalities happening. But this is bad for me because I'm selling you a lot of plantain. So if you're giving this advantage to Africa, for instance, that's bad for me, for Latin
yeah.
America.
The entire
So what
supply
they
chain will
did,
disrupt.
yeah. So that what they did was go into the WTO and raising the issue on the most favored nation, saying that the EU is actually treating Africa and some of the Caribbean countries, I think, as a most favored nation. So the EU actually lost the case and they had to drop this policy. So this is a place where the WTO is actually disconnected from historical responsibilities. That's why I was saying that there is no actually guiding principle that would make the global south feel comfortable and safe in this space, but
Mhm.
also this is showing you that this principle, the most favored nation, is actually a very important principle in the WTO that even the EU could have lost today or last year if they raised the CBAM in this space. So the fact that they are telling probably the climate people, oh, we're going to the WTO, and probably telling the trade people, oh, we're going to the UNFCCC, is kind of just an escaping mechanism to have a serious, responsible conversation.
So that means they already knew that what would be the repercussion and outcome either way.
Yeah, yeah. I think they are very aware. They're just, I don't know, they're just taking, wasting some time and
Hmm.
probably avoiding having this conversation because the EU, whenever the conversation is going to be around the climate finance, it's going to be very
Yes, yes.
complicated. Yeah.
Definitely. And the points they raise is always some kind of ambiguous, which I don't get in the first tense, like what exactly they
Yeah.
want to say. Just because they always mix the previous options and the next options together, and of course they don't come up into a conclusion. They always give some kind of facts, and then they just drop. And of course they see that what exactly the next negotiator will say or something. But it's always a fact, definitely. But yeah, it's really interesting to know exactly the entire structure because the banana effect was been taught to us, but not in a very deeper manner. It was just an effect as a phenomena that happened. Like it's called the
Yeah.
favorism, right? So it's called trade bias.
Yeah.
So we cannot go
Yeah.
trade bias, but you gave
Exactly.
the deeper meaning why exactly it happened. So I think that is the reason we need some kind of cross collaborating, or you can say cross sectoral policy where the trade policies and climate policies can come together in specific spaces, and we can have a category of having those policy into the trade where we can do favorism, but its favorism eh, belongs to maybe the Paris Agreement or the Kyoto Protocol that happened, or at least to favor the nations who has been damaged by loss and damage or something. So I think there is a lot of work to do then.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you touched base on everything that has to be said.
No, thanks a lot, Iman. Like it was so fantastic to have you here, and
Yeah,
the points that you covered, I don't think so that it will be like available everywhere. Like you have to go through each and every platforms and like search one by one. But crisping all together with your knowledge and giving a gist, a crux of what exactly the trade looks like and how exactly the trade is separate from the climate policies is very important. I think in Yongo as well as we work, 90% of people don't get exactly how the trade works and how it's relatively affecting or maybe not being affected by the climate policies, and how can we change the narratives. Or for example, we have the global statement, right? In the statement we usually
yeah,
use the word trade, and we usually use the word of how can we get on the top of these trade policies into climate
yeah,
policies or this kind of stuff. But right now, as we are clear that the trade policies have certain regulations and bias that we cannot move ahead with the climate policies. I think we know what exactly the narratives has to be and how we can
yeah.
move ahead with proper demands, keeping those trade into a category like a climate category or sustainable like whatsoever. So I think right now we need a framework rather than
Yes.
asking for the mechanism.
Yeah, I mean, both are essential if we could have both, but definitely having this kind of separate forums to discuss climate related trade measures, yeah, it's crucial, I think.
I think that's a nice story, and thanks for being in the session today. Just because this is my first session for the episodes, and I think this is the first of a kind that I'm starting. That people can just join me and speak about their involvements in not just energy, into cross sectoral thematics as well, as we talked about the trade, as we talked about just energy transition, just transitions, and thanks for being one of the person who actually was there into the launch of this initiative. Really appreciate that, man. And I always look forward, like anywhere, anytime
Yeah.
you really want to join this session, just join,
Yeah.
right? We will have more
Okay.
discussions as well. I think it was really successful, and successful as
Hmm.
being in a session where the discussion was all around the globe, all around the trades and stuff. And also, like we always has to remember that climate policies, trade policies, and everything is not just everyone's story. It's a space where story should matters, right? So everyone's
Yeah.
story will matter whenever we hear these stories. The communication goes to different countries, like move ahead with the non barriers. So I think this initiative will bring up those kind of stories together, and we will learn from those stories, like your story, like stories which you heard, which we worked together several years in Yongo or this climate space. And you also told me that okay, you've been working in investing or working in oil and gas sector, then you move. It's fantastic, a story as well, like a story of change is a transition, right? And everyone did it. It's not
Yeah.
just you, like literally. Not many people have the guts to say in the face that okay, I was in an like investor of oil and gas, or I was involved in oil and gas, because you have the guts to say, just because you know that okay, I have changed, I'm doing something right about my future. What about you? And that's what we learn from you as well, like just to say what exactly it's in your mouth and it's in your heart, and it's what is best for the future. And thanks for being one of the example of this session as well, right? And
Well, thank you
until
so
next time,
much. Yeah. Yeah.
stay curious, and definitely keep an eye for our next session, and
Of
keep
course.
talking energy.
It's amazing. Well, thank you so much for hosting, and thank you so much for making this forum for exchange. And I'm happy to jump in whenever it's possible. I'm really looking forward to how this amazing project continue.
Fantastic. Like it's a dream come true when we have teammates
Yeah.
and colleagues like you, and
Aw.
definitely will bring more narratives, more communications, more like discussions, just not around energy but in a cross cutting manner.
Yeah.
But as you say that today's discussion was very important to highlight our emotional emotional empathy toward the policies, but also like technical and intellectual empathy towards the trade, right? So we will bring those
Yeah.
kind of communications, and we'll bring people all around the world. Thanks a lot, man. Until next
Amazing.
time.
Thank you so much. I'll see you